Hi, I'm Dr. Clare Allen. I was in CEO roles for 30 years and became a CEO in my 20s. I can remember my father saying to me when I was 18, Claire, get a job, any job, doesn't matter what job it is, just get a job. But you see, after World War II, the economy was booming and employers were offering jobs for life. So my father, my grandfather had jobs for life. They literally got their pension and they got their gold watch. Now, today, can you say that we're going to get a pension and a gold watch? No. Back in his day, only one person needed to earn a wage for the home to have a good and solid life. Now, today, can you say the same? No. So what's happened in this 30 years? Well, it all comes down to metrics and saving money, right? So when we think about companies, and this really started with those scrappy entrepreneurs in Silicon Valley who realized that they could literally get cheaper labor overseas. Then industrialization started to look at labor differently. Do we need as many people? Can we do it cheaper? Can we put people on contracts? Now, what happened is this relationship radically changed. Now, if you're sitting here thinking your employer is going to take care of you, that they're going to invest in your personal development, then I'm here to shatter that illusion well and truly. Because if you're still thinking back 20 years ago that you would go and get a degree, that you'd literally have a career for life, then you are under a false illusion. So I want to shatter it, but I want to shatter it out of love because I want you to understand what's on the horizon. Now, as I said, I was a CEO for 30 years, but I remember clearly in the employment services, walking into a room with the government with 13 other CEOs. And yes, 12 of them were men, but that's a different story. Now, as we listened to the government with the changes on the horizon, there was something that I really picked up. And that was that they wanted a one-stop shop. They wanted better value for money, which is always what the government talks about. And they were going to make some radical changes. Now there was the stick. If you don't do these things, you'll potentially lose your funding. Now, I had a little bit of time in the lunch break and I spoke to a few other CEOs. And I can honestly say that only 3 CEOs left that meeting and changed their business. The rest said it's never going to happen. I don't want you today to be one of those people that sit here and say, it's never going to happen. It's already happened. It happened a while ago. And so most of us are still buying into this lie that says, do your career, do your studies, work harder. That is not the case anymore. And so we've started to see people getting side hustles. We've started to see the rise of the entrepreneurs even more. But what's on the horizon? What's on the horizon? Well, I put out a couple of shorts a while ago and I talked about this, and I talked about the fact that we literally are going to have people losing their jobs, mass amounts of downsizing, mass amounts of people being out of work, and that governments are really not having this conversation, right? I talked about a universal basic wage for people. Now, these are radical new ideas, but they're actually so important. But what I believe is more important is you being empowered yourself to make some changes. So the first thing I want you to do is get this in your head that your employer is not going to pay for your personal development. They are not going to pay for your leadership capability to improve and grow and expand, right? They're just not. They're just not going to invest in you the way that people were invested in before. So get that mindset that you have to take part of your income and you need to start investing it in yourself now. Now, the other thing you need to do is diversify your income. You can't just rely upon your job to give you your sole source of income, right? Because that's just a crazy thing to do. If you do that, then what's going to happen is if you lose your job, you're just going to fall apart. So you need to have a plan in action around how you're going to diversify your income. And the third thing you need to do is you need to start building some complementary skills around the skills you've currently got. And you need to be really adaptable and flexible. And you need to take more risks, right? You need to literally get yourself out there and start marketing yourself more aggressively than you've ever done before. If you want to stand out, if you really want to win here, then you've got to think about what's on the horizon. It is not like even a decade away here. It's going to be around the corner, right? It's literally around the corner. These changes are happening in front of us. So I really want you to really be adaptable and flexible right now. Do not be an ostrich and bury your head in the sand. The reality is that the landscape of work has changed dramatically, right? So it isn't a job for life. You don't need to think about getting an MBA. You don't need to think about getting extra qualifications to position yourself. You need to upgrade your mindset. You need to be more adaptable and flexible. And you need to invest in yourself for your own personal growth. Now, I'm not saying this to scare you. I'm saying it out of love because I really want people to understand that this is one of the most significant changes that we will ever see. Now, I want you to get this message really clearly, but really don't think it's all doom and gloom. What I do is I teach people how to get that mindset for success, how to position them for success, no matter what's happening on the horizon. I mean, think about it. I started off, and as soon as I started off in my career, I started to see downsizing, right? So my father saw a career for life. I started to see downsizing. Next thing I started to see was basically contracts. Next thing I started to see was these really strong performance metrics. And I rose above all of those things because I could see what was on the horizon. Now, this is really important to be able to work smarter. Now, you've heard that and it sounds glib, to be able to work smarter and not harder, to understand that these things are just around the corner. So I really am putting this message out because I want people to understand that if you don't adapt, if you don't think differently about this, you're going to be left behind. Right? And there isn't going to be a rescue package for you. Like never before in history has there been a time where people need to wake up and realize that that old paradigm is literally gone. Right? It's literally gone. This is like a climbing wall and it's got rocks all over the place and you've got to navigate your way to the top. And it's the one that can be the most agile, the most flexible that will get to the top.